Good morning, everybody. I want to say good morning, Vietnam. It's 10:49 on the clock, which is the Wheel of Fortune, and the Nine of Cups, which is the Get Your Wish card. Finding self-satisfaction, self-love, happiness with self. Let's go ahead and roll the die for the twin flames. Today is Pi Day, March 14th. It's my daughter's birthday today. The 3 is the Empress. The 14 is the Temperance card of that higher love, taking a step off path, marching to the beat of your own drum. Patience and balance for the twin flames, March 14th, 2022. We have Capricorn. Okay, so Capricorn is all about the father and responsibilities, and Saturn. And we have number 12, which is also the Hanging Man, which is Pisces. I get Capricorn from that as well, though. It's also the 12th month, which has Sagittarius in it. And here we also have Pluto, which is profound transformation, Scorpio energies there. So mostly Capricorn and Scorpio, but we have Pisces there as well. Yeah, so Pisces is immutable, Scorpio is fixed, and Capricorn is cardinal. So we have a nice balance there. And happy birthday to my beautiful daughter. And okay, very profound Metatron read today. I did yesterday, and I did the read on the table for you last night, the twin flame read. It's all general energies, of course. If you want something more personalized, you can check out my information below, as well as my website, twinflames3344.com. I am what's called a spontaneous channel, so information comes right through me. My strongest abilities are my clairsentience and claircognizance. I am also clairvoyant. I do get smells now and then, but it's not something that's really common for me. And I don't usually hear things specifically. It's more of a claircognizance, a knowing, which can sound like I'm hearing something at times. So let's get going with this channeled reading. I also have a CD out there for those of you who aren't aware. It's called Ashes, Twin Towers to Twin Flames by Evelyn Stainthorpe. It's on CD Baby, Google Play, Amazon, and iTunes. And one of these days I'm going to get some more. I have another CD worth of songs to get recorded. I bought a recording device for my computer, which I have not sat down and learned how to use yet. So I'm still not sure if I'm going to do it myself or go into the studio again, but we'll see. But I have some really good songs that need to get out there. One of them you've heard before. It's been a few years since I started the first songs, which is the Christ O Sophia song, which I love. But there's some more. So yeah, I have to get those out to you guys. And let's go with this Metatron read. Go ahead and take a deep breath. Let's go ahead and send some peace out to the UK and Russia, please. Take another deep breath. And one more deep breath. Lots of white light. Sending lots of love and blessings out to all of you. Hoping you're having a beautiful day. It's beautiful and sunny today. It's still a little bit chilly out there, but at least the sun is out, thank goodness. And thank you all for being here with me. So here we are yesterday at spring forward as the clocks were turned forward. I hadn't slept the night before, so not last night, but the night before. I slept like 12 hours. I never can sleep till, past like 8 or 9 at the latest. And I slept till 1:17. And when I woke up, I realized it was 2:17 on the clock. So I guess I really needed it. But I'm sure my guides and masters were having a little time with me. So boy, did that feel really good. And it was on the day that we turned our clocks forward. And today is Pi Day. And yesterday was 3/13, which is that transition energy of the 13th and Ophiuchus. and the 3 of the Empress of Spring in March. And the day adds up to 23 today. Yesterday it was the Fool on the Fool's journey and transition. And then today is the 23 with the 14. 14 is the Temperance card of that higher love, and the King of Wands. And the King of Wands has come up a lot in the Metatron reads as far as being imbalanced and always needing to do that dance in rebalancing the King of Wands, because it is that very passionate energy. So getting too fiery and then bringing in the ice of the King of Swords came up a lot, as well as now bringing in the emotions to count the water to counteract that fire or balance it. So very interesting stuff here today. So I woke up yesterday when I did this at 1:17, which was actually 2:17 because we changed the clocks forward. And I opened up random pages actually from Jen McCarty's book, her Twin Flame book. And I opened up to a page that was talking about not feeling like you belong. And it brought up stuff from when I was a child in gymnastics, because I definitely felt like the outcast in on my gymnastics team. And also that thing about, body image and all that kind of stuff majorly comes up when you're talking about gymnastics. I always felt like I was the only one who had a little belly there, right? And so when you're doing gymnastics and you're supposed to be perfect and you're supposed to be as thin as possible, any little defect or something that you deem as imperfect, it really stands out in a child's mind. Also feeling left out, like the other girls who would all go out socially outside of gymnastics and never included me. That kind of energy was coming up. So feel like where you didn't belong, and was it because of the way you looked, or you perceived it was because of the way you looked? What were the reasons that you deemed that you didn't belong? And it's not just gymnastics growing up, but many different situations. And I brought this up before as far as religion, because I was raised with no religion, although my background was I was raised by a Jewish family. My grandfather lost 7 sisters in the Holocaust. And yet my Jewish friends didn't see me as Jewish, or there was some kind of distortion in my field, which was really funny, because I thought I had an all-Jewish background until about 10 years ago, and we found out my grandfather wasn't my actual biological grandfather, and my biological grandfather was Russian Orthodox from Russia. So maybe they picked up on something that I wasn't aware of. So my Jewish friends treated me like I wasn't really Jewish, and my Christian friends treated me like I was a Jew. So, and no synagogue or church accepted me because I didn't belong to one, right? And it's not that they didn't welcome me in. Of course, I was allowed there. But if I went to Catholic church, they would talk about pagans, and I always felt like they were talking down to me like I was some kind of criminal. So and it's making me want to cry, actually. I didn't realize this growing up as a child, but of course, as an adult, you look back and you realize these feelings. And I bring up the pagan thing because I sat there as someone in my 50s at the time, sitting next to the person that was supposedly loved them, and allowing someone else to call them a pagan in a derogatory way. And it is used in a derogatory way in the church I was sitting in. Not that they were seeing it that way, right? Because it's that perspective. But what is coming up for you as far as not belonging? And for me, that brought up that energy that God had rejected me because there was no church or synagogue or temple or holy place that accepted me fully. And that was a very subconscious thing, because I never thought that outwardly until, the past few years. So let's get into this Metatron read and see what else comes up. So this Metatron read was done at 3:33 yesterday. So there we have that 369 energy. And the bottom of the deck was the go with the flow energy of the 42, which is the 2 of Cups, that 1-to-1 energy. And here is the picture of the read. The bottom of the deck is here, and the underlying energies. Very significant here today was the Dragon here, and then Big Bird, which will come up as the couple today. And then the first card out is here as I go across and down, and then these 3 are together, and then these 4. And this is like an addendum, some extra cards, because I usually do 21 cards, but I bring out whatever my guides are guiding me to bring out. So there's actually 22 here, plus the 6 down here, which is 27, which is that Ace of Wands. And actually the Metatron card in this deck is the 27, the Ace of Wands, which is that third energy, that ace, that flame, that inspiration, that ignition of kind of kicking your butt to get yourself in gear. And let's see here, the colors. The colors that came up in this read were white, silver, yellow, red, and in the after cards, blue also came up. So we have that white, silver, which is very much, I'm getting that purification energy very much so, because it's very high vibrational energy. And then we have the yellow and red, which is the root chakra and the solar plexus, which is skipping the sacral chakra today. So often what's missing is actually the real focus there when you're dealing with safety and security issues of the root chakra, and then the yellow of confidence or lack thereof, of shining your light. And then we have the blue, which is the throat chakra, about speaking your truth. And right when I was writing the 13th card down here, which was silver, by the way, a jet stream. A plane passed overhead, but I was really super focused on the jet stream and the pulsing of it, which is what I was hearing there. And I'm getting leaving on a jet plane, don't know when I'll be back again. So I start out here with the Divine Masculine Dragon. And if you listen to my last video, we talked about the Feng Huang, which is in Chinese, what used to be I think the Feng part was the masculine bird, and the Huang was the feminine bird, which they eventually made one female entity that would be primed to meet the white dragon. Okay, so here in this read is the dragon, the fire dragon, the sun dragon, the divine masculine dragon, who meets Feng Huang, the feminine bird, and the strength of the fire sun, and the Atlantis and Atlanta connection was coming up here. And Atlant actually means Atlas, or inhabitant of Atlantis. So Atlas is coming up here as well as Atlantis and Atlanta. And the stones in Atlanta are coming up here too, about the reduction of the population. And the pyramids, which, remember, pyramid is that pyra of that fire, but also the mid of bringing it to the center. The Atlas man is a pillar. So the Atlant is coming up as architecture, or the archetype of the Atlas, right? Carrying the weight of the world as the pillar, right? The archetype of the Atlantean man, expected to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. It also means, or strap used for carrying, perhaps to get help in balancing something in order to be able to carry that kind of weight on the world, weight of the world. The one able to carry that weight of the world and discover new lands, right? Be an example of strength, of vision and fortitude. The divine feminine big bird, where both are really birds, because the dragon is a form of bird with wings, right, that can fly like a prehistoric bird. And then the big bird, which is coming up as more of that soft angelic energy, that she is the Thoth human Lyran. The dragon, a mix of bird and cat-like characteristics. And the Queen of Swords, rainbow ice crystals. No pyramid here, all fluid of breath and fire together, which is ether. The cutting bright light of the frill. As the sun dragon and the earth bird, Feng Huang, integrate their father, earth, wind, and fire, and mother, earth, wind, and water, each missing only one element, which came up like the other day when I was talking about the 5 wounds. J Haral and B Haral came up as the J Haral, each were missing one of the wounds. So J Haral was missing the B of betrayal, and B Haral was missing the J of justice. And the J Haral is a wild goat in the Himalayas. And the Biharal, and that's not how it's pronounced, I'm saying it that way so you understand how it's spelled. The Biharal is the blue sheep in the Himalayan. So how cool was that? That those two words came up as each missing a letter of the 5 wounds, referencing the masculine and the feminine who were working on clearing a wound in order to come into their higher vibration. And the 5 wounds come up as Bra and then J, B-R-A-H and J, the 5 wounds. And Bra is very significant too, as in Brahms and Brahma, Brahman, which comes up here as well. So at 407, which for me is always that sweet spot in the numbers of 4 to 7, it's averaging at the middle, but just to the light of the center. Just like in alkaline in the human body, you always want to err to the side of alkaline to be in a balanced state. The 5 wounds relate to the Brahman, but without justice. The B-R-A-H is the 5 wounds without justice. Betrayal, rejection, abandonment, humiliation, and justice is not there. But the J can also reference Jesus, of course, without that Jesus present. But what was coming up here is that justice is served by the 8-8 of the dance between the twins, the space of timing, the river of the Thames, the taming, the spice of the time, and the DNA of the thiamine. And then the T was coming up here, of the T wheel that came up the other day that has no air in it. It's a solid structure wheel. So then the watershed was coming up, which came up the other day. And in German, the watershed is called Wasserschied or Scheid. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it means water to divide. And I was getting this picture of a circle with the flow of the water around the circle, but in a sine wave type of flow, right? So it comes onto the wheel from another place, which kind of makes a sine wave. And then, of course, around the circle, it comes off into the water. So it doesn't actually go around the circle. It makes a sine wave onto the circle and then off of the circle. The watershed, which is also comes up as the ridge on the cerebral cortex of the brain, which I stated from a definition yesterday. A critical point marking a change, or delta, which is the triangle, in course, which is the 0 of the circle, the circuit, the ring, and then the fold of the Einstein fold, which looks like this horseshoe, right, like that, of the black hole example, which looks like a stent or a hole made in the fabric of time across that horseshoe. The Einstein rose an example. But this fold or ridge comes up, and as I drew the picture of what I was seeing with the water wheel, the 2 water wheels coming together, you see how the sine wave coming onto the water wheel on either side, and it looks like the 2 eyes and the nose of a person, and of course the 3rd eye is coming in as the implosion into the 3rd eye right here of the face. So then right there is the nose, the sinuses, and the septum's a natural divider, isn't it, of the catchment and the shed, keeping the 2 lanes separate, staying in your lane as the divine masculine on one side on the right and the divine feminine on the left, each with their own space. And then the turning point came up of change in direction, or marking that change in course, where the sinus rhythm of the wave down and the wave up, which is where we are right now as we go from Pisces to Aquarius. We literally went in from the age of Pisces in the downturn of being controlled to the upturn of the sinus rhythm in the age of Aquarius, where we're right at that turning point now, where it goes up or below. So, this is up or down, or excuse me, above or below or up or down the drainage basin, which then from the watersheds, or those things that hold the water, then drain into a final basin, like going down the drain, which ends up being a negative place of flushed down the drain, right, thrown away. The time after which the material of a more adult nature, which can be violence, swear words, or sex, and this is coming up as a definition, may be broadcast on TV or radio, either one laid down or one contrived, or in other words, when children are not watching, or a safe harbor. Flushing their fish down the toilet in secret without telling them the truth that their fish actually died. So why do we do that? There's no reason to do that. Children are open to the love that is real. And so why do we as human hide all of those things when there's many cultures where the parents and children sleep in the same bedroom and it's not seen as something evil or dirty, but just a loving family sleeping together, perhaps because they have no other choice but to sleep in the same room together. So the justice to be served at the Lion's Gate, in the ring, a wrestling match to settle once and for all, with Brahms, or Brahms means not only beautiful classical music, but it also means pissed or drunk. So listen to this, the justice that was missing from the Bra of the Brahmin, without the J of the justice. To be served at Lion's Gate, 8-8, in the ring, a wrestling match, right? To settle once and for all of the chariots in the ring, right? With Brahms, either pissed off and drunk, or with Brahms of beautiful classical music, where all is fair in love and war, where two warring factions make beautiful music together, or locked in a room together with boundaries or in jail until they can work it out without killing each other. Failure to launch. Hiding behind the mother's apron. The need to grow up and be independent. Sovereign, unafraid. To not keep secrets, just speak in a language that they can understand, especially with children. Don't keep secrets, just speak to them about the topic in a language they can understand. And right here, my neighbor stopped by to have a chat for a while. And that brought some more of that wounding up that we were talking about, because we were just talking in general about that kind of thing. And then Bra comes up, B-R-A-H, means brother and friend and sky. And also the B-R-A-H, of betrayal, rejection, abandonment, and humiliation. And then the Brahma, of needing the Ma, or the Brahman, the human, or in other words, the side that's missing, the feminine. The fire dragon and the pyramid sun. The 4 to 5 faces of that pyramid, which can be 3 or 4 sides, and then the bottom, where Big Bird, which remember Big Bird is B, which is the capital B is 13, and IG, and then 13 IRD, of the transition to I, God, and the transition to I on that road or that path, that off the road path, or the path less traveled of the Big Bird. And instead of the pyramid, the triangle, or the trying of angles, new perspectives, new colors. And the spreading of the wings. The spreading of the wings. And it was coming up as the heavyweight champion of that fire dragon and the lightweight champion, right? So they're both champions of their divisions, both champions in their own right. It's just that one is lighter than the other, or one is heavier than the other, and which one is better is just in the perspective. It is in the sweet spot of 4 to 7, right? There's room to be both. There are even variations in the middle of the road or the river, flowing down 1 to 1 on the whispering bench. And what was coming up here is usually 1 to 1 is an equal 1 and 1 with the dash between. But here it was coming up as the number 4, which is as 1 is much smaller than the other, right? If you break up the number 4, so here's 1 to 1, the way I would normally write it. And then we have the small 1 to 1, which is the upside down 4 and the upright 4. You see, making the other one smaller, which becomes the 4 and the 4, or these two chairs stacked on each other, which is that lower energy of the lap dance in the 3D. Making one less than the other because of size or weight class is the lap dance 44 of the 3D connection. The 1 to 1 is equal, or it becomes the H, the 8 of the dance, or the standing tall in your own lane, side by side, sovereign, with love and respecting each other's differences and sameness at the same time at 529, which is the Hierophant, and the 3 of Wands, of being present in your knowing and your gifts. So some of the topics that came up in our discussion were about abuses that we had encountered in our marital relationships and lack of self-worth, not only of ourselves in allowing that, but of the other who's being narcissistic or abusive, making themselves better or above another is because of their own insecurities. Regarding physical traits, you know, noses and bellies, high school, and how cruel that high school children can be. And also dating now as opposed to then when you're insecure. And those who have multiple people coming in dating them because they love the attention, and those who don't have anyone coming in offering dates because they like to be out of the spotlight, and those different perspectives. Also, the pride of someone who's very good looking, who expects to get what they want because of their looks, because that's what they've been taught. And also remember, be careful about getting other people attention, because then are you just stringing someone along, just setting them up to have their heart broken? And vice versa, if you're pulling yourself away from attention, it can be the same thing. Someone else can still have their heart broken from you having pulled your heartstrings away from them. So at 531, which is the Hierophant and the 31, of that chaos of the Five of Wands that life is, as we're all trying to organize it in order to find control over the energies, the wounded warrior releases the Kundalini back to source, like we talked about before. Breathe in ether, and out that density of 3D back to source. Take the chaos of the light that's coming in. The shed was coming up here as that chaos of light. The shed that cuts, right? Because the light is diamond light. It cuts, it's sharp, it divides. That light bulb or energetic turn on to transmute the layers to clear the way to truth and balance. The organizing of chaos of thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Our shadow pack for energy stores, or in other words, a store, an energy store, is an emotional watershed to store for later, not knowing that all is now. There's no need for later, or there's no need to worry just in case, because if you're creating from the present moment, that will never be needed, because you know all is well in every moment. So again, this shed that we all keep of extra things just in case, that's just taking up space. A need to create more space as new leaves come in on the tree, new children, new adventures, and ideas and projects. At 542, the Hierophant, and 42 of the Two of Cups, that 1-to-1, and of course spring cleaning is coming up, and being locked at the root to come out the other end in future generations, seeing your wounding in them, in your children, your grandchildren, in order to unravel. So if you're not finding wounds in you anymore, perhaps look at your children, your grandchildren. What are they showing you? That the wounds are still there because you share the same DNA. So if you've cleared the wound, it won't show up in them. As they won't let you forget. Let go of control. It's time to release. As the wounded warrior, the wounded warrior, and the messenger of truth, at the emperor, or the powers that be, who must let go of control and transformation of chaos. And then I was getting Get Smart with chaos and control, right? They're different agencies. The chaos of get unsmart and out of control, to leave the organization. Again, here's the leaves and the being organized, and allow your own transformation. As you process the light coming in, you release the future ancestors in energetic exchange to heal that emperor who needs to have control, the King of Swords and Atlas, the prophet, the priest, and the king, or transforming into the prophet, the priest, and the king, from the executive, the judicial, and the legislative, leading by example as one you can talk to and hears you in return, who offers solace and another perspective if asked, and offers a roadmap to follow to the journey on without destination, but infinite flow rather down the river of life, and chaos to organize or not, to channel or get hot, to preserve or destroy, or just stay in the middle and enjoy a happy medium of both. The ED of Mr. Ed, or extra dimensional, and humanity, both sides of yourself. When the King of Wands is off balance from too much fire or passion, as I just got uncomfortable, the water wheel without boundary or a shared basin, without someone to share his fire with, who can share their water in return. Two wheels directed towards each other in a push and pull of side to side and up and down and all around. Two wheels of the infinity. And then the infinity picture was coming up like this. So here's the two humans inside as they each have their sine wave, right, going around like that, which kind of looks like a mask, right, like Batman. So two sine waves that cross at the turning point with time to ground, integrate, and master at the Y in the road before coming around the mountain when she comes. And when finally unafraid stops at that Y in the road in the middle where there's two sine waves cross, like between the eyes, in two directions, or that double Y, in a reference to the double wide, but the double Y of the Y upright and the Y reversed becomes the X, where all roads lead home from infinite perspectives. Two Ys, which also look like two birds in flight, and of prey, one on the bottom, coming together, come what may, to just hang out, two wise birds, the twin flames from 33 to 44, raised to the next octave. The 33 3D, the 44 is the bridge to the 5D 55 of truth, to jump off to the jump off point of 5D for 66, 77, 88, and 99, or the other dimensions. Something else we were talking about too, that how wonderful it is to walk in that cold, brisk weather, because it's very invigorating, because cold preserves, remember, and heat destroys. So don't forget that as well. That's where it's an important balance to err towards the side of cool, because it preserves the human body better. At 610 is the lovers and the 10 of that high vibration of the Queen of Pentacles and the Sovereign dancing side by side. And then the numbers came up of the 33, 44, 55, and that's the jump off point to the 6, 7, 8, 9D, etc. And the 66 is the Queen of Pentacles, the 77 is the Sovereign, the 88 of the twins dancing side by side, and the 99 of that compassion. So the Queen of Pentacles and the Sovereign dancing side by side from 66 to 77, which is the 88, and then the Agent 99, which is a dose of compassion for all. Two ends, matching bookends, like Patty Duke. One for all and all for one, except here it wasn't coming up as ALL, it was coming up as AWL. One for all, which is the 14 of the Temperance card, that higher love, and AWL for one, which is the 41 of the Ace of Cups, of love, of the Holy Grail. The instrument of the all, AUL, or AWL rather, and remember the W is two U's, the A is the human embodiment of source connected, and the L is the connection between the two dots, or the arc, the leap. So the human embodiment connected to two U's in the leap of faith of 14 to 41, the Temperance card to the Holy Grail. The all, the ALL, is human embodiment connected to the alignment. But the AWL is a pointed instrument piercing small holes through the fabric of the universe, used by shoemakers, or Mr. Ed. That's so funny because my first elementary school was shoemaker. It's used by shoemakers, saddlers, or those purging, and cabinet makers, those who are Christ-like, etc. The blade of the diamond light is differently shaped for different uses to get through to the other side, or new air to breathe, the ethers, the frill, any of various Hesperid butterflies, which are also called a skipper. And the sky was coming up with skipper here, and skiing. In order of the Lepidoptera butterflies, a scale and wings, and a skipper that has a hairy moth-like body with hooked tips on their antenna and a darting flight pattern, one who skips, jumps rope, and leaps above the water, who skips class, is young and thoughtless person, or a shed, here this shed came up again in this definition, to shelter for the night as master of the ship, the coach, the director, the leader, the captain. And then part of that word of the Lepidoptera is P-I-D-O-T and P-I-D-O and P-T-E-R-A were coming up, which mean feast or cost, or the winged is the P-T-E-R-U-S. And Lepido is a witty, charming, pleasant, effeminate. From the line of the winged, effeminate, charming and witty and pleasant, eagle-like, lion and cat-like humans called lyrans, the young and the restless, who lied and ran to punch holes through the fabric of our universe, to create a pivot, a shift, a turning point in our sine wave, the evolution, a portal to the other dimensions, or jump-off point. After 99, there's only one last stop on the Holy Grail, or G-rail, that hole at the Y in the road, or 0 point, from God's rail, to enter and exit all at the same time, the space-time continuum. That's 0, 0. That source embodiment of 2, pushed and pulled together to create infinity of flow and dance. The flow and dance that is done, the rocking and rolling and pulling and pushing the sword from the stone to try to jiggle it out, and instead now becoming one with it, going into it, loving it, no ifs, ands, or buts around it, as the river runs through it in the twin flame directions of creation, of that push and pull. The two who never give up and yet surrender to all that is and to come and has been, up, down, and all around, never giving their sovereignty away, yet surrendering to and anointing each other completely. At 641, the lovers and that Ace of Cups. So the King of Wands, 23, in fire duality, meets the King of Swords in ice singularity. The cuts the crap, and the King of Wands is fire that burns through their icy exterior. To Atlas's inner child, with a map to hear and know themselves, and Mother Earth Terra awakening the collective, expanding and creating with a passion and love for life, of the Knight of Wands, as well as the wise study in Akashic Records for new perspectives. At 645, the lovers in the 45 of the purge, of the 5 of Cups, of the grief, which can be loss and regret, but also guilt and shame, and not letting go of the past. And now the new dawn, that high, instead of a high 5, a high 10 of welcoming back, of the 1-0. Remember, the 1 isn't actually 1, it's connection, it's 2 dots with the arc between. And the 0 is that human embodiment of source. The 2 connected with the bridge or the arc, and the human with space between. That the human is the source. The 1 is the connection to that source. The Excalibur sword and the 0 of the stone, pulling the connection out of the human, taking apart the rod and staff, the axle and the wheel. What's the point? 0 point. The sword is part of the alls, A-W-L-S, of you, the truth of the diamond light that hurt you. Accepting the sword sticking out of the stone like a sore thumb is accepting all your imperfections as perfect love and as one. The Page of Cups baby comes into this world perfect and beautiful, each and every one, birthing a new heart now made of that child, of abundance, of grateful thanksgiving every day, with synchronicities and food and heaven in your eyes. The shaman's truth, the king of the earth, the Brahman, brother and friend of the sky, and the human who's resonant with the sound of the heart, he, she, and I am, who may be a hoot with emotions, and to what degree who's steamy and at times makes a racket or commotion. And then the Schumann of the horseshoes and flyers, of the fire of the dragon's breath, and the ash of light, the Lord, the Master, and the Mistress, the first one, the poems and songs, Mr. Ed, extra-dimensional, a meaty kind of guy, with a horse's ass, made the lion in their own image, but with a smaller nose, of course, a lighter color so that they know their place as king, but not Mr. Ed, the source. Only one of me, after all, I am that I am, after all, A-W-L, a hole in the wall. 1 second. As the shaman journeys on to the gold, where land meets sea, meets sky, meets I am presence, number 9, connecting to the one of the 2 dots in the arc, at the solar plexus quantum leap of spring and joy and happiness. And then my gnat shows up to remember that's unforgettable. At 7:13, the chariot and the transition of the chariot. The chariot is the feminine within the masculine ascending. As the carpenter bee pollinates, this time leap forward as the clocks leaped forward yesterday. The King of Cups, look up and detach from drama. See the cosmos that mirrors you. The uncommon man of love. So if you're not getting a lot of mirroring, it's because maybe you're more rare. A wake-up call to your Lemurian chariot for emotional well-being. The mother of all mothers with space holding for the blue rays, present with gifts. Shine on, Atlas, with Hercules or Hercules, her harvest. Number 44, and the connection to source. As waves beat up against the mountain, finding a way through the center of it all to the crown. So remember that number 44 with the connection is the 1, which becomes the 144, which is saying connecting to source from the 44. As the waves beat up against the mountain, finding a way through the center of the mountain to the crown, the light, purifying the water wheel into infinite supply of clean water and emotions. As above, so below, self-love, spiritual love, and new love, and reciprocation of compassion at 7:17 to 18, which is the star and the moon and the chariot. So here's this idea of the same way we have purified our emotions through the water coming through from our root up to our crown, is the same way that we'll purify water in general for everyone. As the ocean water comes up through the mountain and purifies through the mountain, which has all those purifying things within it naturally, to come out the crown, there'll be some kind of equipment that we can put into the mountain that will allow this pure water to come out of the top of the mountain at all times for everybody. Which, of course, that top of the mountain water that comes down to the rivers is some of the cleanest water, like the Himalayan energy. So then the dragon of the underlying energy, again, coming up with the Feng Huang bird, or the Feng Huang bird, 1-to-1 going with the flow in an equal way, equal measure. And then the wounded warrior, the emperor, the king of swords, and the knight of wands, in an exchange to release and purify for clean energy here. And again, get smart and control and chaos were coming up again. And chaos and Agent 99 is that compassion for chaos, which is spelled with a K for get smart. And his agency is control, right? So here's like for the masculine, he's get smart with control over his agency, where the feminine's agency is seen as chaos to him. The chaos and energetic exchange of Atlas reviewing the house and family records. A light exchange currency to help the family forward of knowing their inner child via good record keeping. The new perspectives to see how others do it. The Knight of Swords, the King of Wands, and the Empress come up together here as a messenger throws the King of Wands off balance, then him needing the Empress, the Earth and Terra, the collective awakening of abundance, to create a new high vibe dawn in the aging of Aquarius. Welcoming back Libra perhaps, or just Happy New Year, as 3/21 approaches and 3/14 today, Pi Day, which yesterday was tomorrow, with angels, and then 3/15, which is the Ides of March and the Devil's next, and then the sudden of the 16, 17, 18, and 19, the suddenness of the stars, the moon, and the sun for a wake-up call to then the 21st, which is the world of 3/21, 2022, and of course the marking of spring. So then the shaman came up here. So with Bra and Shah and my Schumann and all that, there was a sequence of shaman that were coming up here. First they came up as, remember Bra, B-R-A-H, without justice, right, are the 5 wounds: betrayal, rejection, abandonment, and humiliation, but without the J of justice. And then Alms without justice was coming up. So A-E-I-O-U is coming up here. Of the shaman, then the sheman, then the shyman, the showman, and the shoeman. But first they came up as was that the first one? No, that's the way they came up. So the definitions of these things. So the order was coming up of these shamans in A-E-I-O-U. So the shaman, the she-man, the shy man, the showman, and the shoeman finally, which is very interesting the way they came up. So the shaman comes up as that letter, the squared W in ancient script, which can be the W, which is like two U's, but also looks like a watershed, right, with the catchments and then the division between them, which came up as the definition today. But also the E on its back, right, the rolling stone of the shaman, right, the native to the land, the young, fresh king, but also a cat who drinks or burns out or dries up over time. Whereas that's the first one. As in the she-man next, which comes up identified as the number 10, which is that high vibe that's destined, it's more feminine, as the she-man, a female with unending small stream that never dries up, as opposed to the shaman that dries up, and uses credit, forgiveness, and can be distant and slow, but is sparse and a rare find. And then we have the shyman, which literally comes up as the rain man, the poetic tree of intent. I, me, he, she, where it's identified as 10 and 4 as the 10-4 message received well, as the teacher, the master, the mentor, the leader, and the musician, the rain man, right, the one who is misunderstood. And then we get to the showman, which maybe you think as a showman or an actor, but it's coming up as the horse's footman, the horseshoe of hot and cold, expanding and contracting, to say, to mean, but shy in foothold or expression, or is coming up represented by the 2 zeros of that source energy as Mrs. Extra Dimensional or Mrs. Ed. And then the 5th one comes up as the shoeman, which is the Mr. Ed, the Lord, the master or mistress, the head of the family, sudden or abrupt, bursting into poem and song, the talking horse, Mr. Ed. And he is identified as the 100 as opposed to the showman, his footman, or as Mary Magdalene anointing his feet. She comes up as the 00s, but he comes up as the 00s with the 1 before it because it's the lead source of energy. So and also the 1, remember, isn't 1, but it's actually connection between 2 points. It's the bridge, it's the connection between them, the direct connect. So in Hebrew, alms literally means justice or righteousness. And then again, the drala or brala were coming up, which are the drala, which is the big wild goat of the Himalayas, and the brala, which is the blue sheep of the Himalayas, which is the mountain climber who's all over the place, and the silencing of the lamb. The shaman, the sheman, human, but the shy man teaches us of a higher vibration that we could be, and then we become the showman and the shoeman of elation instead. So then we have the read on the table for you, which here is the basic read from the SIRIAN Starseed deck. And here is the complete 7-deck read. Maybe I'll put the light on for this. So this was done at 9:36 last night. The 9 of the Hermit, the 36 of the Atlas, and the Weight of the World. And of course, this is for today, 3/14, Pi Day. And remember, pi is a circle with a line down the middle, which is equal shares. At 9:52 is the Hermit and the 52 of the Queen of Swords, which came up EE of crystals. The EE is the energetic exchange, the arrows of love, lots of communication or travel back and forth, as well as, and the crystals is purging as crystals, but also Christ ALS, which Lou Gehrig's disease came up, along with Who was I just talking about yesterday? Now I'm blanking out. But ALS also means like, so Christ-likeness. And then our why stalls also came up as the reason why the stalls, or the reason for the delay. Oh, Stephen Hawkins. So Stephen Hawkins died of ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. So Stephen Hawkins was coming up yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And so he's coming up here as well. And also, they're showing me too, ALS is another way of saying alls. ALL or AWL or ALS, alls. So Stephen Hawkins is telling us that the disease helped him find the hole in the fabric of the universe. Right? So it's like telling us, right, there's always a reason for everything. It's a blessing in disguise, right? To be able to let go of the brain, to go into the heart brain, to be that direct channel of source and understanding, right? Because when you read a book, it takes a long time to read a book, but if you just tune into your own knowing, you can understand something in an instant. So I finished completing this read at 10:09, which is the 10 of the high vibration of the Wheel of Fortune. And again, that 1-0, remember the 0 is the source embodiment of the human, and the 1 is the connection to source. And then the 9 of the collective, and compassion, and endings, and completions. Completion points, I'm supposed to say. As we have justice as the major arcana in the read, justice and solar deity are the sun, but solar deity references the sun god as well. And before the read, the hanging man comes up along with ascension, which is the world, and reflection, which is the hermit, which is also the number 9. And after the read, karma came up, which is the judgment card of 20. We have, as far as the court cards in the read, was only the King of Wands, along with 3 9s, the 9 of Pentacles, the sovereign, the 9 of Swords, the one suffering in silence, and the 9 of Cups, which is that emotional sovereignty, finding happiness within self. And we had 3 Pentacles, 3 Swords, 2 Wands, and 1 Cup. So we have 3, 3, and 21, which is the Christ consciousness, the unity consciousness, standing up for oneself without getting triggered, and the 21 of the world and coming full circle. Also, the 21 is referencing Pisces, which we are in now, and the Christ consciousness. So I always get Christ as being born January 7th, which should be Capricorn, but Pisces rising, right? Because he rose at Easter as well, which makes sense. But I always just get him that way, just from my knowing. But the numbers came up as 999s, 2 3s, and 2 6s, which is the 369 of Tesla energy, right? So we have 999s of a whole lot of compassion and endings, completion point, going into the double 10s as well, which is keeping it high vibe, of the 1-0 of your connection to source, your direct connect, the 33 of the Christ vibration, the 66 of the Queen of Pentacles, which, remember, the 6-6 is also the GG of the Golden Gate, where the river runs through. It has to go through the feminine. You can't get to the other side without the divine feminine. The 36 of, and remember, we both have masculine and feminine within ourselves. 36 is the Atlas energy of the weight of the world. 69 of the Ace of Pentacles, of that offering of time, money, and energy, or a new life. And the 910 of that high vibration. 910, begin again, and keep, every time you expand, come back to the centers or the source, to the present moment in your heart. As well as we have 1, 2, 3 jump. We have the 23 of the King of Wands, the 34 of the 8 of Wands, that energetic exchange, the 45 of the purging card, the 5 of Cups, and the 56 of the 2 of Swords, being in your knowing. And I was going to say being in your knowing and keeping your energy clear, but they were saying being in your knowing without complaining about it. And Stephen Hawkins is saying that. The 67 of the Knight of Pentacles, of that being that humble, loyal servant. It's making me cry with Stephen in here. It's just a high vibration. The 79 is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? The gold that you never expected at the end, and on the other side. But it's not really an ending. It's just what was waiting for you on the other side that you always knew, but it wasn't in your present moment yet. That every present moment is that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow when you connect to the other side. Okay, so the code line here is about abundance and time out, and it was separated as in A and bun dance, which bun dance can be a butt dance. The BUN is also a marker for the kidneys, which references how our bodies are naturally transmuters as well of energy, right? Where our bladder and livers clear the food that we eat so that all the negative stuff is peed and pooped out of our bodies. And then time out also came up here as one word, or two words actually. And the message came up here, and the code line was all about the number 9 here, which is completion and the collective awakening and compassion mostly. Sophia, in a sudden event, or being able to see, I was blind but now I see, the sister, the suffering in silence, the stress, the nightmare of the solar deity, the sun god, and the divination, the divine co-creation. The if and only if, which is the Stephen Hawkins thing, right? Because it's a mathematical equation. If and only if, hiding underground without sunshine, divine co-creation, which is he's saying in his condition, right? Not being able to just go and do whatever he wants to do at any time. Going into that darkness, into that dark night, underground, right? Not being seen, without sunshine. The divine co-creation, with doubt, concern, the ivy of the vine, or the ivy of the perpetual flow, the bone, right? Sitting in a wheelchair. My father was in a wheelchair. His legs were nothing when he died. They were just a bone. To appear suddenly, divide, or exposing divide, or divine, right? It's all in perspective. Also the British energy in Scotland, which is so funny because Jen McCarty is talking about doing her thing at the Scottish castle. So British energy in Scotland, hiding underground, exposed divinity without Jesus, dividing or without heir to a throne or guardian, or hiding place that is exposed. Very interesting. So, and that can reference too, like if one of you is British and one of you has Scottish in your lineage, about the twin flames. And then the first card up here is the 9 of Pentacles. And I don't have Scottish in my lineage, but I do have English. So, and my last name is English, but that's my ex's name. My maiden name is actually Cope, C-O-P-E, but it comes from Kopelevich with a K. Most of my ancestors were Polish. Kopelevich means son of Kopel, K-O-P-E-L. But I also have some English and German, and of course I found out about 10 years ago that I have a quarter Russian energy. So the British and the Scottish lineages coming up here, without an heir to the throne or guardian, or a hiding place that's exposed. The 9 of Pentacles in the underlying energy, so the bottom deck here with the mini cards on top, that sovereign energy of the 9 of Pentacles, and beneath it, the Hanging Man reversed, Ascension reversed, Reflection reversed, and the 6 of Pentacles upright, and the 7 of Wands reversed, and then that sovereign 9 of Pentacles on top, upright. So being awake to the divine feminine in the 5D, over isolating and coming out to share or be charitable or settle out, defenseless to the energies, orders, or attack of the sovereign at 1107, which is justice and the chariot. Remember, 11 is also alignment. And the 7 is also the key to alignment. And remember, the sovereign references, right, the leader of a country, right, the king or the queen. Defenseless to the energies, the orders of others, or the attack of the sovereign, right? Being in the light, everyone can see the sovereign, right? They're very vulnerable to attack. The Queen of Swords upright, who's speaking to the Queen of Cups, who's reversed, maybe turning their back to them, or just talking about their sadness or their manipulation, or she may be speaking on behalf of this Queen of Cups reversed who can't speak for herself. Perhaps someone who's not sleeping well or rising above, coming out about the downturn or their change of mind. juggling, performing, or a performer making peace with the King of Wands upright, lied to, wanting to get to the truth, split or divide, as the Queen of Swords was supposed to get information on the Queen of Cups reversed and why she did what she did. And then getting over the shame, coming clean, the King of Pentacles upright and the Queen of Wands upright, grieving the twin flame or that choice of path, coming together to create, a man in despair growing up, to create something grand, or learning not to distort a child, and or grieving an ex. Grieving twin flames and put his energy into his work. Sharing, being charitable, leaving the gate wide open to betrayal. And that was at 1138, which is the Queen of Cups, but it's also the 11 of alignment. And again, justice of the Queen of Cups, who was just reversed. And I was getting like huge tingling all over my right head right there. So sharing, being charitable, leaving the gate wide open to betrayal. And maybe a little birdie or something in the Queen's ear. And I think that's the right ear, again, as I got that tingling all over my right head, of great pain or a great pain, ending of pain or ending of pain, holding the tongue with the Ten of Pentacles, family, business, community, or court, or legacy, the graveyard of warriors past. Give your relationship a chance, and beneath that, unrequited love. No longer flirting with danger, showing off. The King of Cups reversed is not forgetting the past, not letting go, not letting the past burn, with the Magician upright who's hangry for healing or an apology or forgiveness, as the King of Cups reversed is frustrated, uninspired, and getting hangry for revenge in the doghouse, or there's a dog hiding under the table because they're scared of the energy they're bringing, with two women waiting upstairs, or both who are in trouble, and the dog may be scared for them because of the energy of the Magician here, who's really hangry. At 1206, the Hanging Man and the Lovers, with love partnership, number 26 of the Page of Wands, and that inspiration, and beneath it, the health of the 71, which is co-creation, and that healthy balance. Sharing, charity, and blinded by the light, keeping to self, the Ten of Pentacles, family, business, or community, in need of help, money, or opportunity, or with a poor student, or a child who never learns their lesson, and the Queen of Wands upright, who may be depressed in need of hope, their dreams dashed, but they're upright, and then he defends her honor. The Moroccan colors here, by the water and hedges, and in the field of dreams I'm just getting now, in the field taken down, of triumph, of 1233, the Hanging Man of Christ, hanging on the cross, right? Standing up for oneself without being triggered. And the Hangman with Pisces, Virgo, and Libra all reversed, as well as Aquarius, and Gemini upright here, which also references the twin energy. The war within of the sovereign, the king, the emperor, coming together, that can be the queen as well, coming together to create an empire, a legacy, that family, business, and community of wealth, needing healing and love partnership of the sovereign with his people, right? Because his perspective may not be the same as his people, which definitely isn't, because often the king is very wealthy and the people are upset because they are struggling financially. And then we have the Queen of Cups upright, healing in the sunshine, or healing by exposing all, right? Getting to the truth of things. Heartbroken or disappointed emperor, or perhaps with a heart issue, as the Knight of Cups, and this is still the underlying energy, as the Knight of Cups offers love to the Page of Pentacles in front of the upside down world of the Empress reversed, or the Emperor's offering love to the Page of Pentacles while the Empress reversed passes away or their world falls apart. Okay, so here's the Emperor and the Empress, right? The King and the Queen going back to the green, but they can never go back there again. But there's also a Page of Pentacles here at hand, whether that's a child or a message of something new to be built, a new opportunity, an invitation. So, all right, so Stephen Hawkins is coming in again, just like me in a wheelchair, or anything that you see as misfortune. The same is with the Emperor and the Empress reversed, right? Where two aren't getting along. It's the same thing. It's not what you wanted. Or disappointment of the Emperor that the Knight of Cups is being chummy with the Page of Pentacles child, or arranging a partnership against the Empress's will. So the Emperor could be doing something against what the Empress wants. And then the 12:59, which is the 11th hour, right? The moment before 1 o'clock. The falling out. And I feel really uncomfortable right now with the Queen of Pentacles reversed in a negative past. At the 11th hour, the bewitching hour, right? Perhaps the burning of the witches as we deal with Jesus on the cross and Mary Magdalene seen as a whore or a witch, right? And the difficult kids sharing with the Page of Wands reversed and the Queen of Pentacles reversed, or sharing a negative past with them. Oh, and again, that can be sharing DNA with your children and your grandchildren, etc. Awake to the Sovereign who's recovering in surrender with Justice of Libra or King of Swords upright, and the recent past of the King of Wands upright working too hard with Atlas defenseless to the energies or attack. Again, that sovereign energy carrying the weight of the world and totally exposed to the elements. Detoxing chaos post-war, dealing with PTSD and the workplace healing by working to align while under the radar of self-satisfaction with the Hermit reverse lover coming out, burdened by their satisfaction of being alone after the war, after the virus, or after the fight, dealing with the PTSD of the woundedness and the looting that happened, the betrayals, the humiliation, the abandonment, the rejection, and the need for justice. Or not. Remember, justice is truth and balance. That we don't need to fight for justice. That the earth automatically knows how to rebalance its energies. So if there's injustice, it will always be righted. That energy always knows how to go through all of the other fields of the earth, of all of the other humans on the earth and the universe, in order to come back and create that perfect balance, which is what our faith and our knowingness is supposed to understand. That things are done behind their back. Capricorn and Virgo reversed and Gemini upright here. You don't need to get hypervigilant in trying to find out what's going on behind your back, because energies will always be corrected if you are patient and knowing, and if you keep that high vibe energy, you won't be affected. It's when you go into that paranoia, you drop your energy vibration, then you can be affected, you can be attacked. But if you keep your vibration high and you're knowing that all will right itself automatically, then you keep your energy high and you're clear of those intrusions. The foundation here of the Four of Pentacles upright, of the Divine Masculine's heart in the Batcave, of the sister or the suffering in silence, the stress, the purging at night, whatever's ailing you and your inner child, unable to sleep or stressed out, having nightmares, awake to the Page of Swords, stepping up to the plate, or a message that's out, or advertising, an energetic exchange with the Page of Pentacles, perhaps a quick study and strong in taming the beast, or perhaps hiring a dog walker and implementing a plan to pay for their services to perhaps help the child out, or invest in advertising, perhaps getting a child to advertise for you. As the central energy here is the Ten of Swords upright. Again, the 5 wounds of the betrayal and abandonment, of rejection and humiliation, and the need of justice, which always for me comes last of the 5. The ending of the pain or the painful ending. The satisfaction of seeing synchronicities and having lots of options is your reward. The one of mystery, depressed without, or the depressed third party, broken, or seeing many in need of healing, in need of socializing, in need of travel or a move at 111, which is the 1 of the Magician and the 11 of justice and alignment. And then going to 12 of the Hanging Man again, or perhaps feeling confusion himself, overindulging in war, uncomfortable dealing with move or travel, or ear issues perhaps, breaking up, breaking down, breaking in, breaking out, or breaking through, or betrayal, or in a painful ending if challenged by the sister, the suffering in silence, the stress, the safety and security issues, the hiding underground and feeling stuck, blocked, taking a gamble, or self-detox of gambling problem at 116 of the Magician and the Tower, to release anxieties, or to get out of prison, or to release hostage, to untie those karmic knots of death, endings, dark night, and transition, transformation. The Queen of Pentacles reversed, dumped, or dumping on them, pushing their buttons, or pushed to their emotional limit. As the full moon approaches, subconscious yearnings at night or with Cancer, and that full moon I think is on the 22nd in Virgo. As the full moon approaches, subconscious yearnings at night or with Cancer, or romance, withholding, saving from or for justice, or playing hardball with Libra energy here as well. With Aquarius reversed and Cancer reversed, and Scorpio, Libra, and Cancer upright here, the King of Swords obsessing over justice with narcissistic old man, or Hierophant and Taurus, or sovereign between them, the King of Swords, Libra, and the Queen of Pentacles reversed, Taurus, finding peace, or traveling defenseless to unwanted, or traveling and defenseless to unwanted advances in downturn or in twist of fate, and overwhelmed, with Libra reversed or pushed to the limit by Aquarius reversed, or lack of good judgment, or poor decision making and bleeding out, stabbed or just in a big lie, a divide or split and drained, in need of sunshine and freedom. So now, crowning is divine justice, forcing their hand, frustrated, blocked, or stubborn, as the Knight of Pentacles reversed is down on their knees, praying to self, unable to express how they feel, living and dying, having lived and died by the sword, forgot how to use the pen, grieving their blindness, no longer inspecting every inch, or done an audit and holding their tongue, with the Emperor upright and the Ten of Cups upright, whether that's the sham fam or the happy ending post-war, with the Queen of Wands upright and the Page of Cups upright, in a loving message, or uncomfortable battling or fighting the Emperor's judgment, or refuse to call, or refuse to announce new information or clarity about all business relationship, and getting their wish but needing to swallow their pride. Presently, overexposed to new information and sudden event, an epiphany, the quantum exchange, overstimulation. And soon, the Six of Wands reversed and failure, the neediness, the attention-seeking behavior, and the Two of Cups one-to-one, the dark night connection to surrender of the wounded warrior, the King of Swords, and the Sovereign, recovering at home with the King of Cups reversed community, with inner strength. Scorpio and Leo upright, perhaps Gemini too, that the twin flames are seeing themselves as the Three of Swords reversed, healing, apologizing, forgiving, or spiritually giving fallen angel the ultimatum, or the Taurus upright and Sagittarius reversed given a choice at 135, the Magician and the Wounded Warrior. Of the 36 of the Atlas and the Weight of the World, leaving the Wounded Warrior behind, of forgiving and learning, having that heart-to-heart conversation, and paying attention to the red flags or signs and synchronicities. That the Knight of Cups is offering love to the Empress reversed, whose world is upside down, or Taurus reversed and Pisces reversed to set them free, or the establishment that's losing patience or their temper, or unbalanced with a decision to make, and the Knight of Cups offering healing to the Empress reversed, needing closure to be free at last, at 138, the Magician embodiment of the Queen of Cups, the Mary Magdalene energy. And around the twins are how they're seen as the Nine of Cups, of condolences, apologies, forgiveness, and the Knight of Wands reverse player who's bored, paralyzed by their passions and grounding and integrating manifestation, a secret passion for the Page of Wands reversed, or the Knight of Wands reversed, and the Page of Wands reversed children lacking integrity, or unable to keep secrets, or have an issue with the Magician's secret passions. And again, this can be a wake-up call to a player type of energy who's addicted to attention, right? So they'll take any attention, even of young girls, whose hearts they will break. And this is like a wake-up call those men who sleep around a lot with young women, and someone who will give them a wake-up call of how they are now relating that young girl to their own child and what they have done, and then learning how to say no. At 148, which is the Magician and the 48 of the Eight of Cups and walking away within, the block of lack of energy of the King of Cups reversed and a falling out with the Hermit reversed. That can also be overexposure, over radiation, getting burned, needing sun and vacation perhaps, or just needing their sunshine, which is the block. Perhaps someone feeling like they need something. They feel they're weak if they need another. With abundance, time out, and even more so, perseverance, where the princess won't wake up to their brokenness, their block, their breakdown. They won't get up, or splitting of the bulls here, or a break up, the workplace or funeral service, and withholding judgment there. Coming clean, getting clean, or cleaning up the act or space with lover, the King of Pentacles upright, or settling affections. With Trinity and the place of creation, bleeding out in a divide, a split, or a need for clarity, sunshine, and freedom. Sudden surrender to all that is, withholding and hiding in the woods, needing to swallow their pride at Atlas as Atlas leaves wounded warrior behind. Holding on, grounding and integrating, saving and being practical, the Divine Masculine's heart, and the Divine Masculine's heart and being humbled. I want to get the hummingbird there too, though. And that's at 203, which is the High Priestess and the Empress. And that can be a mother and their sister. It could be abundance and your knowing. It can be a person in power and their aid. It has to do with two women in power in different ways. And then the sovereign divine masculine with a healing heart. The Nine of Cups satisfied. The King of Wands upright bleeding out. And challenged by a sister or suffering in silence under the radar. Drained, sick, burned, or overexposed. The divine justice of creation, of work. At 206, the High Priestess and the Lovers. And spiritually surrendering to save and grieve. To humble slave, where the humble slave leaves the wounded warrior behind. Awake to the upside-down world, or the Divine Feminine 5D, of losing their mind and over-isolating or coming out and sharing their defenselessness, of sovereignty or sovereign King of Wands at war, or triumphing over the field. The Divine Masculine's heart ending the pain, challenged by suffering and silence underground, of divine justice or Libra healing under radar, or a bad reputation and getting their wish, in need of sunshine, workplace surrender, and withholding to grieve the weight of the world and leave the wounded warrior behind at 211, which is the High Priestess and divine justice of the end. So let's go ahead and pull a few oracle cards and see what comes up here. So it's very much today the energies of, right, the man in charge of a country, of a lot of other people, and having to go to war and having to learn how to become humble over those years, right? The young one starting out being really arrogant, who gets all the girls and sleeps with anyone they want, and then after time going through all of these transformations, feeling the effect of those who have been hurt, those who have been killed, those who are suffering, those who are starving, and the maturation of the boy, the frog becoming the prince, right? The boy becoming the man. So let's see what the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck has to say for us. Take another deep breath. I was just getting the masculine waking up to the error of their ways, the pain and suffering of the world, the reason for co-creation is that perspective of like, think of, Stephen Hawking's journey of how long it took for him to go from having full use of his body to like, no use of his body at all. And all the lessons he had to learn along the way. Of being honest about who he is and what he wants. And then allowing his wife to be honest about who she is and what she wants in the end, right? Having a peaceful division that they're just not meant to be together anymore. That when you're honest with each other, it's much more civilized. And there we have the dragonfly. As the dragon flies, because the dragon was like the first card out in the underlying energy today of the read. So here's the dragonfly that mates two as one in the heart shape pulsing. And the golden egg, nesting the golden egg, the golden child. The dragonfly. And you notice the two wings, they're like two, the diamond, the two almonds times two. The two propellers woven together, the two hearts as one. And the tail to tell, which can be the stinger. The sword, oh look, it's the sword and the stone. Not being afraid to show your imperfections anymore, right? Allowing the sword to stay in the stone of the two as one hearts and the golden egg, the golden child. Birthing is one. Look at that. Like a moth to the flame. And what definition the moth came up today? Like a moth to the flame, two as one. Right? One may have a split tail, and one might have a striped, with little ridges in it. Right? So showing our differences, our wounds, the things that make us different, and being proud of that instead of being embarrassed by it. Right? That their wings may be different, but inside they're the same. Maybe this one jumps into things more quickly, and this one may be a little bit more emotional or shy about it. But they're both that golden child when they were born. They're both the same. Then we have, so those three come up together, and then we have the raccoon and the rain and the beaver. They're both kind of in dark energies, but see the different in perspective here. He's in the dark and he's in the dark, but he's seeing it as the darkness of the beautiful trees that he loves and the sunshine above and the dams that he loves to build. And this one's seeing it as always being in the trash, right? Never being in the good place with the good stuff, right? Kind of being thrown away with the trash. It's all about the perspective. And then there's the octopus who's activating their mainframe there. The octopus teacher who sacrifices their life for their children. Underwater, under dark waters, under troubled waters. The bridge over troubled waters. Where the octopus, remember the tentacles of the octopus can act independently from the mainframe. It's like the parent, right, who's got no control over their children, or little anyway. And perhaps that makes them sad. And then there's the frog in the rain, who longs to become that prince but doesn't know how. But yet then one day, grows up to be that crow standing guard of the collective awakening. Wow, how did I get from there to here? Clearing all the dark off the planet and chasing away the hyenas that don't belong here. They have to go away to a prison planet. And then partnering up with my etheric partner, the other gate holder, the feminine. How beautiful is that? Talk about a little story there between the dragonfly and the moth. And then we have this, the little ones being protected by the dragon and the mama bear. So sweet. And that's also seeing yourself as the child and your dragon father and mother bear. The bottom of the deck is the fire ant. This is the wound. Those wounds that we talked about today. Also the events, right? Where crowds want to come to see people perform. Where everybody wants to gather around. This is also the energies of the cells of the body coming around, gathering around to heal the wound, the community coming around to heal it, gathering around, right? The lizard who, when they go around crowds, gets very nervous and they can't handle it well. They become very fragile. And the oyster who gets scared when there's big crowds. And so, and the turtle who's shy. Look at these, all these vulnerable ones. And perhaps the fox is around, so they're, right? They're not sure about them either. Teaching the children. It's like children going to a concert for the first time, right? How exciting it can be, how scary it can be for the parents because they know what kind of energy can be in that crowd. It's like the moth to the flame. They can't resist themselves. When two are meant to be together, let no man put us under. I'm so getting today, instead of the attack, I'm getting the healing of the wound here. Where all the cells come together to heal the child, right? After the sudden event. So we have war going on. We also have the spring forward yesterday. And we have the Ides of March tomorrow of the assassination of Caesar. This is very much about the mother and the father coming together to protect the egg, whether that's a new child, a new project, a new hope, a new idea. But two meant to be together. There's no it's undeniable. And like my gnat, it's unforgettable. And all wanting, feeling it. Everyone's feeling it, wanting to come together to see the event. Because it's here. I'm going to pull an energy deck card too. The otter came up as one of the definitions of Hydra. So not just water, but the otter came up as well. And of course, Hydra constellation is where that Messier 83 pinwheel is from. And when I did a galactic read with Julia, I'm trying to remember what her last name is. Julia Balaz, B-A-L-A-Z. I don't know if she, think she's Ireland, not Scotland, but she's not far away. But she does galactic astrological reads. And she felt that my origins were there, as well as the collective origin comes from that region right there where the pinwheel galaxy is, in Hydra. And of course, Hydra's water, which is right what we live on. We are water. And remember, water is full of oxygen, right? And what's around Hydra is the Centauri. And they're also right next to it, above it, is Virgo and Libra, which are the center of the astrological chart. Very interesting too that that's coming up. And taking action here of the two, right? The dark and the light merging together, the 17 of the stars merging. The goddess of the moon holding up the weight of the world there. Again, Hercules taking over for Atlas for a minute, her harvest, in order to come into perfect balance. The Queen of Swords, which also comes up as Big Bird in the Metatron deck, and the 17 of the stars merging into one as Big Bird, or the feminine, which can be the reference to the Lyrans that were eagle-like, as in the big birds. In the feminine here are holding up the weight of the world, her harvest, Hercules, for Atlas, while they come into balance, 22, which is the Fool's Journey, and into the happy family here of the Four and the Emperor. I want to say the Emperor's new clothes. So a completely new Emperor, a new kind of Emperor, where there's abundance and liberty for all. This is like, she's like the Statue of Liberty. The 41 again coming up here, which is the Holy Grail, that Ace of Cups of self-love, spiritual love, and new love. And the blossoming abundance and liberty, justice and liberty for all. We have the 4 and the 3, which is the Emperor and the Empress, and new love. And then we have the garden and the gate of the home and the union here. And perhaps a child that needs to be taken care of still, who maybe have some anxiety issues. And then the storm warning. Get ready. That high vibe storm is coming. The bottom of the deck is the woman holding a coin, the 42 of the 1-to-1, and somebody else has walked away. So 27 is that Ace of Wands, that third energy, walking away, perhaps finding their inspiration, as the 2 of Cups comes up in the underlying energies there. And then again, the first card out was the horses, Mr. and Mrs. Ed, which also came up in the read as the stars of the show. What God has brought together, let no man or woman put asunder. As the feminine Hercules holds up the weight of the world for Atlas, as they come into balance on the journey with the family, as the Emperor and the Empress of abundance. All right, with abundance and liberty for all, which is the Holy Grail, and perhaps a home and union as well, perhaps with a child who still needs some care, and a storm warning about that. So it's a very loving energy there. Let's see what the journey of love has as well. So the showman and the shoeman come together as Mr. and Mrs. Ed, or extra dimensional. I was just getting to the talking horse is, remember, horse is the whore, and then the sudden event. And the whore is referenced as the Mary Magdalene energy and the sudden event. But also, hold on one sec, I'm getting the arse of like arsh. Is that like the pirate? But I'm also getting, shoot, why am I blanking out? I was going to say Popeye too, but, and who played Popeye? Why can't I blank out on his name? Hold on. So olive oil and Popeye. Robin Williams. I couldn't think of his name. I'm literally seeing Robin Williams in my mind's eye. So Popeye was coming up, but also arse, like he would say, like Popeye would say, but I'm getting like the pirate energy or like Irish energy or Scottish energy, something around there, maybe the Vikings. And hold on one second because I want to look one more thing up. So arse, R-S-E in horse. So we have the hoe. Remember, hoe doesn't just mean whore, but it means she. And then the R-S-E is the initial, is ring strain energy. And also the ruby, sapphire, and emerald. Red comes up under it too, really quickly. So an R-S-E-R is hate or hatred, the arser. But S-E is sea and sudden event. So she and the sudden event. Let's see what comes up with the journey of love. And Robin Williams saying hello. I don't usually get that clear a picture, but he's like standing with me right now. He's smiling. With that pipe, with a pipe in his mouth. Okay, Robin Williams. Okay, and that flipped right over. Okay, we have the across the waters as she stands in the chaos of the cyclone, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of the King of Wands here, 23, across the emotional waters, the bridge over troubled waters. She sees the light at the end of the tunnel, the hidden beauty that she is in the purging, and the sensual awakening of the bliss of allowing the swords to just be as they are, to accept all of your flaws just as you are, to allow the bliss as the swords naturally fall away when you accept them as they are. Accepting all of the parts of yourself, right? The one who's perfectly willing to stand in the turmoil and see the light at the end of the tunnel, to cross that bridge. The one who's also a hidden beauty, who has times where they need to purge and go within. And also the one who has a sensual side of bliss, that is all of her, and there's none of it is to be ashamed of. Right? All the things that women have been taught over the years to be ashamed of, and again, the horror energy and the hatred of the whore, right? Stones were thrown at the whore, or being called a witch as well. The bottom of the deck is the woman of light, and the 49 of the 9 of cups, of getting your wish by being the woman of light, right? Bathing in that white light, being so happy to be seen by that white light. The distant shores of the purple moon, that 0 point field of 4 moons again came up. The distant shores of your third eye and Emerald Isle. The full moon is Virgo on the 22nd of March, and then April. So we have March moon, April moon, May moon, and then June moon, which I told you in June is 14th and the 28th. I think the full moon is the 28th of June, the twin flames. And the moon in June, spooning in June with the moon, that's been coming up a lot lately too. So the woman, the divine feminine now seeing her worth, like the light that she's supposed to be, finding her self-satisfaction, her happiness within herself. Just as she is, unlike anybody else. I'm going to pull another card because I want to know why Robin is standing there in my field of view. Okay, Robin Williams, in your role as Popeye, is that how you came in? And he's saying, well, I'm actually kind of shy. Okay, Robin, what do you want everyone to know? He actually, it's the divine masculine, he's saying, just like me, they long to be close to you. Right? So they want someone else, they're just a shy little pup wanting someone else to take the lead. And the 18 is the purple moon, the 0 point of the divine feminine, right? The romance of the 10 of cups, completely fulfilled by her lead. Right? The humbled and sweet pup. And you have the Mary and Christ initials there of the card deck author. But again, this is from Robin Williams. Right, the sweet little pup wanting someone else to take the lead, to take them for a walk, to crack the whip with them of justice. We also have the like the Page of Wands right there. The emotional fulfillment of being inspired by cracking the whip, exposing the powers that be, the 19 of the sun, and the 6 of Swords in order to find peace and commit, jump through the ring of fire with the Ace of Wands, new passion, that third flame, the 25 of the Knight of Wands. It's saying, like we just showed the different sides of the feminine, this is the Robin Williams is helping us see the different sides of the divine masculine, right? Who runs big companies and cracks the whip with rod and staff, but is also the sweet puppy who wants someone else to take the lead at times and also wants to be committed. You can take that any which way you want, but this is the Knight of Wands, which is that the one who wants to sweep you off your feet and cut away the wheat from the chaff in high vibe energy of stardom and galactic energies. The 6 of Cups, which is the 2 children loving each other. And the bottom of the deck, someone who maybe had a pushy, kind of dark mother type of energy. I have Chaos. The sun of exposure, of getting lots of attention and chaos. And then the icy mother to cool off that hot energy. Maybe they had to be a bit pushy to keep them under control, right? And then the 10 of Wands, which is that Atlas energy of the weight of the world on their shoulders. And then the Ace of Pentacles, right? Of the new hope, of time, money, and energy, of an offer of the possibility of the sun, the child, the solar deity of the masculine, who offered them a new life, and the pushy mother who pushed them to take on the weight of the world. Very interesting. Okay, so the dragonfly. I love the dragonfly. It's a little bent though now. It fell between the couch. Let's see. The dragonfly. The master of light, illusion, and the mind. The dragonfly is an ancient and ethereal creature that awakens a sense of wonder and awe. The dragonfly is a symbol of the mind, as it's always moving, shifting, shimmering, and changing. When the dragonfly card appears, it's worth considering the quality of your mind and perception. Are they restless or still? Dreamlike or crystal clear? The situation at hand may be different than it appears at first glance. The dragonfly reminds us to calm the mind so the light of wisdom can shine through. When in balance, it sees clear, full, joyful, and magical. But when it's out of balance, it can't concentrate and has a busy mind. To bring into balance, focus on the breath. In ether, out density. And then we have the Across the Waters, the King of Wands at 23. And the 23rd is the day after the full moon. And as spring kicks in. 23, Across the Waters. You're being called across the waters, as if crossing a bridge of light from one ocean to a far greater one. These waters are your emotional waters, holding your feelings, your attitudes, your expectations, and your fears and doubts, as well as your hopes and dreams. It can seem like such a lot to navigate. Sometimes our waters feel overcrowded, as if swarms of people were descending into the ocean on a sweltering hot day. Hardly finding a space in the water to cool ourselves, we can feel as though there's just no room for faith, trust, peace, and love. There's just too much happening in that water. We yearn for the cool, calm mountain lake, serene, giving, echoing a gentle dispensation of grace. You're being called across the waters, out from an overcrowded sea, into the cool spaciousness of the endless lake. So it's time to let go of some of the mental clutter, some attitudes, some thoughts. Ask for help and bathe yourself in the green and gold rays of healing color. Just imagine them cascading down around you now and through you like a waterfall. It's a bit like you are moving to a new neighborhood in a cleaner and more spacious town. It might be a bit unfamiliar at first, but soon enough you'll enjoy the difference. This oracle brings you a message. It is your time to think about something different or something in a different light. Soon you'll have a shift in perspective, and the feeling of overwhelm, stress, and just too much going on will be replaced with serene trust and peacefulness. Know that beneath even the most chaotic mind is a place of deep, quiet serenity within. Do whatever helps you dive deep to find it. Dance, take some rest, meditate, do yoga, write, paint, make love, make music. In that quiet serenity within, you'll be leaving unnecessary chaos behind, and you'll be presented with the gift of a new way forward. And the poem reads, inhaling the soft scent of promised taste, the nectar moist upon my lips, I savor each sip across my tongue, dwelling in the moment's pleasure. Warm and sweet, bathed in tingling thirst, I find myself wanting you and wanting more. And just like me, they long to be close to you. I invite you to drink enough water, get enough rest, get joy in nature. As spring comes in, enjoy the bliss, you guys. And rise and be loved.